Hi, this is Kevin Deal. Today we're going to talk about the Tannoy GRF. You know, I had to do a Tannoy video now because I am so ecstatic with how things are going with Tannoy and with my company. I mean, I never would have dreamed. I got to tell you something. If you would have told me when I was an 18-year-old kid working in a stereo store, or maybe when I was 19, that, you know, 45, 46 years later, I would be representing Tannoy, I would have said it could not happen. I mean, because the company is such an icon. And Kat is over, Kat who works for us, and all of you folks know Kat. She's over in Munich right now at the Munich 2023 Hi-Fi show and showing the new Tannoy Sterling 3 LZ, as they call it. And then she actually left the show, and she just left the factory in Scotland. She took a factory tour, and she is on fire, right? Because she met the people and how passionate they are. And then simultaneously, with all this stuff happening, I got a phone call from Matt Weisfeld from VPI. He's the guy that owns the company. And I also got a phone call from his father, Harry Weisfeld, the guy who founded VPI. And they bought a pair of Canterbury's from us, and they used them at shows. And they said, oh my God, they have spent a lot of money on speakers over the years, right? And they have spent 3 times the price as a pair of Canterbury's or more. And this is the best sound they've ever had. They can't believe they didn't do it years ago. And it's like, boom, there it is. There is Tannoy doing the magic that only Tannoy can do. Only Tannoy can. I've got to say something, man. Ever since the beginning of time, there's been clonoids, right? And that's what we joke about, you know, when companies say, oh, we're just like Tannoy, right? It's just like the people that say, oh, we're just like tube amplifiers. Our solid state amps sound tube-like. And it's like, no, only tubes sound like tubes. Our speakers are just like Tannoy's. They sound like Tannoy. And they will have, no, they won't sound like Tannoy's. But the bigger deal is, I'm sure that all of those speakers over all the years, and I've seen these brands come and go, I'm sure they sound good. I'm sure they sound good. But the thing is, they won't have the demand that keeps the companies rolling years later. You know, I mean, this GRF, I was just trying to buy in an auction setting a pair of old vintage GRFs, but they had been locked in a cabinet. Now, they're not nearly as good as this speaker, okay? Let's be clear about that. But that doesn't matter because they had been locked up and out of the sun and in perfect condition for, I can't remember how many decades, you know, 50 years or something like that, right? And I was ready to spend any amount of money to buy them along with a bunch of other people wanting to wire this dude money, and then found out that it was all a scam. He never had the speakers. They didn't exist. They take something like an old Tannoy or an old pair of Marantz 9s, you know, they'll say, oh, I've got a pair of like new Marantz 9 monoblock tube amps. And they don't even exist, but they try to get you to wire money because everybody gets excited, which is what happened to me. I was ready to lay down some heavy jack. Even if I wasn't going to use them, I wanted to own them, you know, and that's the deal. I mean, look, an old Tannoy, and I'm going to show why, what makes these different than other brands. And that is the parts. I always tell you, right? Parts and engineering, parts and engineering. Don't believe the stories. Everybody's got stories. This is a Tannoy driver, and it has an Alnico magnet. And if you look at these other brands that have come and go over the years, they typically just don't have this, right? And that's why they don't have the demand. That's why you can call a speaker a classic model all you want. You can call it a vintage model. You can call it anything you want. It ain't classic, it ain't vintage because there's no history, right? The demand that comes with Tannoy comes from history since 1926. It comes from them inventing the idea of a dual concentric driver in 1947. When I was at the factory, myself a few years ago, there was a tour bus there from Japan. And these guys, I mean, they were like excited to be there. It was like going to Mecca, right? I mean, and I asked the guy leading the group, I go, what is it? What is it with people in Japan and Korea and China and all over Asia? Why is it that they want Tannoy and they will work all their lives to finally save up enough money to buy a pair of Tannoys? And he looked at me like a quizzical look on his face, and he goes, Tannoy is Tannoy. And that, I guess, really does say it all, doesn't it? Tannoy is Tannoy. But it's a lot more than that. It's the magic that comes out of these speakers. And I've got a few pair at my house. I mean, look at this. This cabinet is not made someplace. These cabinets are made in the same factory that has made them for decades. Look at this walnut. Look at this inlay. It's a birch ply. That is a lot more expensive to work with, but it's the way to do it. The crossover network is cryogenically treated. They use WBT next-gen terminals on it. They're bi-wireable. You're going to see that there's 5 posts on the speaker jack, right? Why do they have that? Because you want to be able to bi-wire it if you choose to. That's up to you. The 5th post is a grounding post, so you can hook up that ground to your amplifier and it can assist you in dropping the noise floor. What do I tell you when I take apart amplifiers for you on our channel? I say power does not mean anything. Dynamic range is the difference between light and dark and loud and soft. Drop the noise floor, drop the noise floor, and that comes from parts and engineering, parts and engineering. Oh my God. Now down here you have adjustments for the high frequency driver. So you can go up and down in high frequency energy, and you can also change the roll-off of the tweeter. So you can fine tune it to your own personal taste. Some people have got tinnitus. They're really sensitive. Some females, they have really much better top-end response than men do. So sometimes they want to just back it off a little bit and give you a little bit of a relaxed presentation. Going back to this driver, it's a 12-inch dual concentric, and it's got the PepperPot phase correction plug. That's how you can tell when a Tannoy has El Nico. PepperPot, right? That's how you identify it. And the beauty of this driver is this. It plays back music the same way that it's recorded. Single point source, just like that. You record music with 2 microphones. You're playing it back with 2 dual concentric speakers. And the beauty of this speaker and what it will do that no other speaker will do is the phase coherence. There's no confusion in your head trying to rectify the difference in timing between a mid-range driver, bass driver, and tweeter, trying to get them all to blend together. I mean, manufacturers have tried everything under the sun to make that happen, you know, and this happens here naturally. The other thing I gotta say is, I got a pair of Westminsters in my living room downstairs. Maybe I'll show you a picture. And one of the reasons I wanted to put them there is because I love them. The second reason is my wife loved them, and she said yes, and I said, oh my God, I can't believe it, I married the right woman. Third reason is because the positioning of the speakers was just so horrible. I mean, they're right next to a stairwell, right? One of the speakers is, and the other one is open to windows. And they still work. When we were listening to these in the store, I found that they were so easy to set up. I mean, even when we had everything wrong, somehow they were very magical still. Something else I want to say about these drivers is when you've got a real high quality driver like this with this rolled cloth surround, they take hundreds of hours to break in. You've got to believe me when I tell you that. Please, please give them time. This speaker And I know from experience, this speaker will be better in 10 years than it is the day you buy them. They just get better and better, and that's why people keep them, right? And that's why used, old Tannoys are worth so much money. Oh man, now they come with a beautiful grill. I'm not gonna make an idiot out of myself by trying to put them on in front of you. But the grills are nice, but in my home, I've got all of them naked. I got 3 pairs of Tannoys in the Casa del Kevin. None of them have grills because I don't know. I mean, to me, this is absolute beauty. They also come with an owner's box, which is engraved, and it's absolutely fabulous. There is your welcome kit, and you have some wood wax, and then underneath here is you have floor protecting cones. You have floor protectors. I'm not going to try to open this up in front of you, and then your jumpers. So, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, this is a company that is finished. This is a company that, I don't know. I mean, I have so much pride in having this speaker in front of me and just touching it, I just want to eat them up. So look, go to your local Tannoy dealer. I mean, every town is better off with a hi-fi store and a record store. If not, you can reach out to us and we can help you with it. I don't care what Tannoy you get. I don't care what one you get, whether it's the Legacy series or the GR series. You are buying something that is going to last you a lifetime, and it's going to inspire you to listen to music in a way that you never knew existed. Thanks.